Silent Hill F. New gameplay trailer and release date was shown during State of Play. We're going to watch it through once, and then I'm going to go through it a second time, pausing and going frame by frame and looking at stuff and analyzing things, kind of giving my thoughts on it. So here we go. First watch through of the new Silent Hill F release date trailer.
Sakuko, どこ行くの？こっち通るの珍しいね。
今は誰かと喋りたくて。
私も後から行くね。
うん。じゃあね。
裏切り者。誰もいないの？足の悪いおばあちゃんまでいないなんて、こんなの絶対に変。誰もいないし、気味の悪い怪物がうろつき回ってるし。いや、ひらこ。来るな。ひなこ、どこにいるの？ひなこはいいよね。何でも持ってる。そんなあんたがいなくなってくれるんだからせいせいする。一人は嫌だよ。寂しいよ。ずっと一緒だよって約束したよね。暗いのは嫌。一人ぼっちは嫌。錯誤。裏切り者。
So, September 25th, 2025. We'll finally get to play Silent Hill F 2 days early if you pre-order. Get the deluxe edition. But it's looking pretty good. I like a lot of the visual elements. I know a lot of people, again, I already know the common complaints, and it's stuff that I myself have brought up in past streams and talking about this with some of the other games, like and things that have released, like Silent Hill Ascension, where there is a big push with the new Silent Hill games to sort of break away from strictly taking place in the town of Silent Hill, Maine. And I know that rubs a lot of fans the wrong way. I myself have my own kind of issues with that, because like the town has always been it's the name of the games. It's Silent Hill. And there is definitely that mindset for a lot of fans where they just completely reject this because it's like, oh, it's just something else. It's Japanese horror, and they just slap the Silent Hill name on it. And I disagree with that mindset. I do hope that there is something in the story to sort of tie it back into some pre-established lore. I would like it if there is a way that it somehow connects. But at the end of the day, if it's a good horror game, that is what I, as a horror fan, would really, really like. And you've had games in the series. Silent Hill 3, you have the other world taking place outside of the town due to Heather and Claudia's sort of roles in that game. You start Silent Hill 3 not in Silent Hill. You don't, excuse me, you don't go to Silent Hill until like halfway through Silent Hill 3. So Silent Hill 3 gives reasons for why things Silent Hill-like are happening outside of the town. Same thing for Silent Hill 4, which does not take place in Silent Hill. It takes place in South Ashfield Heights. And even the times where you sort of go to Silent Hill, you go to like the orphanage and the woods, you're not actually physically going there. You're going into Walter's memories, Walter's recreation of those things, those places, because they were significant to him in his memory. And Walter has such a strong tie to the town himself that by performing his rituals, the 21 sacraments, he's allowing many of those Silent Hill-esque things to happen away from the town. So there's reasoning behind it. They tie back into the town itself, even though they don't take place in the town or they happen outside of the town. My problem is with stuff like Silent Hill Ascension and The Short Message, where it's like, in Short Message, there's one note that mentions Silent Hill, just to establish the Silent Hill phenomenon. And I think a big reason why Short Message came out before this other stuff was just to establish that fact, that the Silent Hill phenomenon is a thing, and that other worlds, not necessarily Silent Hill as a location, but the other world as a concept, is something that can occur potentially anywhere. And that's what they were trying to establish with that Silent Hill phenomenon note in Silent Hill: The Short Message. And then Silent Hill Ascension follows along in that, where it's taking place in, different parts of the world, not in the town at all. Never mentions the town. The words Silent Hill are never even spoken in all of Silent Hill Ascension. None of the characters are from there or have ever been there. So Ascension is one of those examples where it feels like it was strictly just a name. They just slapped a Silent Hill name on something that did not feel like Silent Hill. This doesn't feel that way. This definitely feels like people who are aware of the series, people who are aware of the other world, people who are taking into consideration the previous games, but wanting to set that thing, that concept of the other world, somewhere else. So we'll see. We'll see how much it actually connects. If it is just, again, in name only, or if they connect it through some story element. But again, at the end of the day, I would like a good horror game. I like Japanese horror. I like Japanese style horror. So we'll see. There's only so much we can figure out and piece together from what we've seen so far. But September 25th, or September 23rd if you pre-order, the deluxe edition, we'll find out. So let's go back through this a little bit more fine-tuned.
サクコ、
どこ行くの？こっち通るの珍しいね。
今は誰かと喋りたくて。
私も後から行くね。
うん。じゃあね。
裏切り者。後から行くね。
She's just looking for someone to talk to.
じゃあね。
And they really keep bringing up this recurring theme of calling her a traitor, which I think maybe some of the kanji we're seeing here. I love the sound design. The like ritual wailing and sort of throat singing almost aspect. I really, really like the music and sound design that we're getting from this so far. Everyone's gone, even my grandmother, and she can barely walk. Just looking at some of these visuals. Of course, we've got all of the flowers, the higambana, very specific sort of meaning to those flowers, representing the afterlife. So there's some aspect of, is the main character dead? Is there some... There's a lot to speculate on. There's a lot to speculate on. Do we know if Akira Yamaoka is involved? Yamaoka is involved. Alex Fire King, you'll have to go back and watch on my YouTube channel when we reviewed the trailer and stuff that was released with the last Silent Hill transmission. They literally brought Yamaoka on to talk about it. But yeah, Yamaoka is doing the Fog World music. Ryukishi did do a whole visual novel that involves Higanbana. So Ryukishi 07, who is most known for Higurashi no Naku Koro ni and Where They Cry series, also did an entire manga series about Higanbana, the same flowers. I have not read it, but it is something. It is something that Ryukishi is familiar with, has made work on before. Again, this is some stuff that I've talked about in the last Silent Hill transmission trailer review, so I'm not going to get too much into it again. We've already done that in a previous video. And we've got multiple people experiencing creatures and fog and Higanbana. It doesn't seem to be strictly our protagonist. We're seeing these other characters as well. There we get a little bit of walking around gameplay, walking around this this city. Man, I really should have brought up all of my Silent Hill F notes, because the locations are based on a real place in Japan. Let me see if I can pull some of that info up. So the fictional town is Ebisugaoka. Ebisugaoka is like what they made up for the game, but they really heavily inspired it, or it was inspired by Kanayama in Japan. Like, so this was, again, stuff that I covered in the last video, but they took photos and video, recreated a lot of stairs and alleyways and locations from this actual place in Japan. They even set up microphones around the town to capture the ambient sounds of like the rivers and the local birds and wildlife and the wind. So a lot of the actual ambient sound and everything that you're hearing in the game is taken from Kanayama itself. So very, very interesting. And then we get the doll designs. The eyes are like melted out. There's cuts and wounds all over them, but they still have the like connecting doll joint sort of design to them. I really like these dolls. Mannequins are one of those things that kind of wound up becoming something of a staple in the Silent Hill series, for better or worse. I feel like mannequins, just as like a humanoid sort of resembling thing that is lifeless itself but still resembles a person, or has human-like qualities to it, is something that's just sort of inherently creepy to us. It triggers some part of the human psyche where we're like, this looks like a person, but I know it is not one. But I like the way it's sort of designed. Even the cuts across the lips are very Kuchisake Onna, the slit mouth woman ghost folklore that is popular in Japan. Look at that butt. And like the material that it's made of, it looks like it would be a mannequin, but it's like fleshy. It has the flaps. It's got the terry flaps, the terry folds, these gross little flesh flaps as part of it. Like a wax doll, kinda. But yeah, parts of it seem almost melted in its design. Really, really creepy design. I love it. Yeah, here we can see, again, sort of the ball joint design with the slots and everything in it. The way dolls are designed so that they can actually move and twist and be posed, but it's treated like a broken doll. The joints are not correctly aligned. It's all bent up. The movement. I love just the movement. And it comes flying off that back area. Look at that. It's like the Silent Hill 2 mannequins, the OG Silent Hill 2 mannequins on Nathan Avenue that come flying from over the guardrails. We got these doll enemies just launching themselves off of higher elevations. looks like a sort of grab type of attack. Yeah, you can see she gets hit in the first sequence, and then in this sequence she's grabbed and like pushes the enemy back, some sort of grapple. Which again, we'll see how that sort of stuff works out. Probably not too dissimilar from how enemies could grab and latch on to James in Silent Hill 2 Remake. This is something that we've already seen in that game, with mannequins jumping on you and James having to fight them off, and then they do a quadruple backflip. I will say, I don't mind things being combat heavy. I really don't mind things being a little bit more combat heavy if that's how they wind up being. But there's a little aspect here that's in other action-y games that I've played that never quite feels right to me. You see that little, like, stun? Everything when your weapon hits, there's like an impact and everything kind of stops or slows way down for a second with each impact. That feels a little weird. I'm not a fan of that in other games. If you're going to do this type of combat, I would rather it be fluid, especially considering how fluid the rest of the motion and animations and everything are. That's to create impact. I mean, I get that. I understand the purpose for it. But it feels a little bit out of place compared to everything else. It's one of those things that maybe I'll get used to it. Maybe it won't be as distracting in the moment of playing through all of this. But yeah, it's like I could see that being a thing from the dolls, like mannequin enemies, because they have those herky jerky, doll movement, like almost stop motion type animations. Them hitting you and like sort of stopping for those impact moments would make more sense than you hitting them. Do you get what I mean? Like, it feels a little backwards. And it's not too bad. It's not as noticeable as it is in some other games. It feels a little bit strange. Then we got this big thing. Grabbing and pulling towards it. Very Insane Cancer-esque. As soon as I saw this thing the first time, I'm like, we've got the big round body, the big sort of round shape to it, but no head, or a very, very small kind of growth for the head, very stumpy, like legs and arms. To me, that is very like Silent Hill 3 Insane Cancer, which I love that enemy design in Silent Hill 3. Having this kind of inspired creature from that design with all the higambana and flowers and things growing on it, now wielding whatever that big blade is. It's interesting. I like it. I like this enemy design. The detail on this So this looks like not just a grapple. This looks like being dead. That looks like when you get hit by something that kills you. Because look at this. And also a variation on the enemy. This one is all like bruised. Coloration and stuff's a little bit different from the other ones that we just saw. So again, kind of seeing same enemy types with little variations to some of their design. And yeah, the blade cutting into the wrist like that. Super creepy. Very visceral. But this feels like a unique death scene. So this is something that I would hope is in the game. This is one of the few things that I would say that I like about a game like Silent Hill Homecoming. Homecoming had a few instances like this, where if you died to particular enemies, and even then they had to be doing specific attacks, you got these unique death animations. You could see Alex get like ripped in half by certain enemies, the schisms, and certain things would trigger like very specific death animations. So if we get these really gruesome, visceral death animations from enemies and certain attacks, I think that would be really cool. But yeah, this one just particularly gory. See, and then that last stab impact, and they sort of transition it into this little bit of Hanako waking up. But maybe that's gonna do us. Maybe this is all one scene. I feel like it's edited from certain parts of gameplay and then certain parts of story that are not normally connected this way. For the sake of the trailer, a lot of stuff is going to be like that. But it could also be very similar to like Silent Hill 1, where you're supposed to die in your nightmare sequence. You have your initial nightmare, and that's what we could be seeing. Hanako and her friends start seeing monsters, start seeing creepy stuff. She runs away. She falls into that little alley where she's suddenly alone, starts getting pursued by these creatures, fights them for a little bit, but then gets killed by the one that we just saw, and cut to her waking up somewhere, which, again, goes hand in hand with how Silent Hill 1 starts off. Silent Hill 3 starts off that way. So it'll be interesting to see the way all of that actually plays out. How edited this all is. But you can see this is why I'm not sure, because you can see like her clothing and stuff is already teared, like it's already torn and ripped up. She's already got blood on her hands and wrists. Where this seems more like it's just kind of an out of context edit for some other cutscene where she actually is fighting things. She is already like worn down from being attacked.
ひなこどこにいるの？ひなこはいい
Must be great to be you, Hinako. So we have kind of an element of jealousy playing in with our dialogue. People calling her a traitor. People seemingly jealous of her. So again, little thematic elements to try to keep in mind for the story overall. I don't want to speculate too much on it because I'm probably going to make a fool of myself being horribly wrong about any predictions I try to make once it comes out, but little things I'm trying to keep in my mind for when the game comes out and sort of the mindset to have as we interpret visuals and dialogue and everything else. And again, just from a visual standpoint, seeing the sort of swamplands here, kind of like an abandoned crop or field with all of the quote-unquote scarecrows sticking out, and all in school uniforms. Again, going back to the writer, Ryukishi07 really sort of uses the student age for a lot of the Higurashi series, and for a lot of his writing. Really likes that aspect of Japanese culture and Japanese schools, which, you know, especially for the time setting, you know, this is going to be in Japan in the 60s. There's going to definitely be some aspects of the culture and kind of the social life of being a Japanese student, especially, you know, a female Japanese student back during those times. I'm curious to see, again, how all of those aspects kind of tie in with our characters and our story itself. But we see male students here as well. So again, just trying to keep all these little details and things in mind. All the wrappings, these ropes, these are all potentially weapons. What are these called? Kusarigama? Or a joyo? Joyo? Which is essentially just like a rope dart or a rope javelin. It's something that has been utilized historically in Japan, but in a lot of games and things like that as well. But they've also got like scythes and sickles stuck in them. So various different weapons and things that they'll be attacking with. Again, we can see kind of like the bale of, I was going to say hay, but I don't know if it's necessarily hay. Again, a lot of this could be rice, if they're out in a rice field. And you can even see what looks to be like a doll or something sitting on top of it with some more higambana flowers. Again, just the poses, the designs of all of these creatures. The way the legs, you can see it looks almost like roots. Like there's a lot of that connection with the flowers and with plants, it feels like, in general. Things just sort of growing directly out of people, corpses. You can see it does like a zoom in when you go to examine. You also have this aspect, which was shown in previous trailers, where characters' faces play a big role. And we've seen multiple things sort of indicative of faces being cut off or peeled off or removed. Probably a symbolic, metaphorical sense, but also in a somewhat literal sense as well. But again, thematically, we see these like lines of separation for faces on a lot of the enemies and things like that. But yeah, these blades, these like farming tools and scythes that they're using. Not only does she have this one in her hand, you can see the handle where there's one stuck in her back. And I'm curious if that'll be utilized in some of the attacks.
ってくれるんだから先生
She pulls something out. It's like a little dart with this kind of white widening aspect to it. It's hard to tell if that's meant to be like a syringe that was injecting her with something, or it could be a dart with a note, like a scroll wrapped around it.
する
Another location here looks to be a Japanese school. Again, more of these same enemies, that same rope binding up their limbs. All the same uniforms and things as well.
一人は嫌だよ寂しい
Some of these visuals where there's these vines, these red connecting threads, which is also a big part of Japanese culture when concerning things like destiny and fate, through a red thread or a red string connecting the higambana, but stringing up these corpses or mannequins, whatever they're intended to be. Can also see some photos and things in the environment. So of course, we're going to be taking a close look at all the environments and everything when this game comes out, comparing a lot of these images. These could be pictures of Kanayama, which would probably be, since they are using that town very heavily to influence Ebisugaoka for the game. Very likely we'll find a lot of maybe historical photos and things of Kanayama around the environments, so that Silent Hill F cam hack playthrough will definitely happen at some point. It's Unreal Engine again, yeah, so cam hack is probably going to be available like very soon after release.
いよ
Ooh. That animation of the one coming out of the hallway.
寂しいよ
Boom. Immediately out there and swinging on you. Gonna have a lot of very sudden moments going from slow walking and exploration into sudden combat. Which again, pacing wise, that's kind of similar to Silent Hill 2 Remake. A lot of moments where you're just kind of walking around and doing your thing, and then there's a mannequin hiding or something like that that just kind of jumps you. But yeah, I'm loving the school hallways, the higambana, the red threads and everything connecting everywhere. Multiple enemies pursuing here, chasing down the stairs. She's got the pipe. She's got the pipe, ready to fight them off. And it looks like, I'm just looking at all these little details. That attack, does the body... I was trying to see if the whole torso is twisting around. Like, is the enemy spinning around completely, like from their feet? Or is just their torso rotating? Again, all these super unnatural, doll-like movements. Really, really like that effect. Are those sickles? Yeah, because we did see them in the previous shot in what appears to be like a rice field. So they've got farming implements as weapons. Again, her clothes and stuff are already torn and ripped up. I'm curious if that's going to be an ongoing thing throughout the game. If that's going to be it's going to be like Parasite Eve 3 where Aya's clothes get more and more torn up depending on how well you're doing through combat. Anybody remember Parasite Eve 3? Not the greatest game, but it had some stuff to it, I guess. Got the traditional sort of Japanese entryway to the school. This is most likely where you would be near an exit or an entrance where you've got all these little areas to put your shoes and get your wabaki.
よろしく。あら。あんた上履きのこと聞いてないの？上履き。上履き。上履き。
Jasně, babaki.
挨拶じゃないわ。上履きよ。日本は土足禁止なの。上履きをちゃんと履かなきゃいけないの。上履きをね。みんな履いてるでしょ、上履き。ね。上履きよ。上履き。上履き。
Babaki.
Your slippers for while you walk around school. Again, I don't know how I feel about these little hit stun things. It feels like it's something that the enemies should be doing and not the player character. Because that kind of goes in line with their doll-like motions, and it would also kind of add those little opportunities where you get hit and have a moment to react as a player, rather than having everything suddenly stop every time you connect with a hit. I get that it's for that visual emphasis of impact, but it feels like it's just a little bit too much. Very minor, nitpicky thing, but... Now, it does make me wonder if that plays into the combat system, if there's going to be... I hate to say it. I hate to even bring up this comparison. But you know what Silent Hill game had combat with that type of slowdown hit stun? Silent Hill Book of Memories. On the PlayStation Vita. The fucking dungeon crawler. Because it was part of the combat mechanics in that game, where if you would tap the button to attack again at the moment where your weapon impacted and everything slowed down, it would give you a combo. And you could do a combo so many times in a row, and there was basically an insta-kill move that you would get after comboing multiple times in a row. So, yeah, it might be tied into the combat system. Hopefully it feels better or smoother than Book of Memories. It looks better. Oh, you can even see some of the stuff posted on the lockers here. Kind of looks like someone standing up, similar to the scarecrows out in the field, the enemies out in the field. Combos in Silent Hill, such an iconic duo. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, from a developer standpoint, what would you do, right? Because in a modern setting, for a modern audience, you're sort of expected to have good combat. You figure the majority of people who are new to the franchise never played a Silent Hill game before. They've only played Silent Hill 2 Remake, and then they're going to play this. They're going to expect combat to a certain degree, and they're going to want that to be good to a certain degree. Whereas, again, if you're an old, bitter, jaded Silent Hill fan like me, you're fine with, clunky Silent Hill 1 combat. Let me stand there with my fucking utility hammer and just let things run at me while I repeat the same exact animation over and over and just annihilate anything that walks towards me. Combat has never been the drawing point to a Silent Hill game for me. It's always just been a means to an end. Like, it's a horror game, so some combat is expected. I don't play them for the combat. I don't care. Like, there's stuff I can nitpick about, and we can sit and compare it to new Silent Hill, old Silent Hill all day, but when you're trying to develop a game for a new audience, for a new generation of people who don't know the original games, don't know that stuff, and as far as like their experience with horror is probably fairly limited for younger generation. Again, they might know Silent Hill 2 Remake and like some of the Resident Evil remakes, and that's probably about it. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm more curious about the story. I'm more curious about the environments and the characters. All of that stuff takes priority in my mind way before I start worrying about combat. The only reason combat is going to come into the equation is if it's so bad that it becomes annoying or frustrating. If it's bad enough to start distracting me from like how cool an enemy design is, or how much exploration I get to do, or things like that, that'll be a problem. And to me, it doesn't look that bad. Like, I don't like the little hit stun aspect stuff of it, but other than that, it looks fine. It looks serviceable. But again, if you're playing these games for the combat, I think you're going about them all wrong. We have a lake. We have a lake with some hills. There it is. Could be anywhere. Could be anywhere. We've also got Japanese man. We have a clock that's not 10 past 9 in 15 seconds. I've just been pointing that out so much in the Cam Hack playthrough lately. Can't help but notice. Look at the clock. Try and notice all the clocks. Are they all set to the same time? Again, our kanji here. Let's see, I'm not so good. I'm not fluent in Japanese. I've spent a lot of time studying it, but kanji is not my strong suit. Let me see if I can translate. Okay. Usoda. It is just usoda. So like the hiragana for da, I could see. Gotta raise your weeb level. Dude, the weeb level to step up and start learning kanji is quite steep. Hiragana and katakana, I'm good with. Kanji, I'm sorry. There's so much of it, and a lot of it is literally just memorize it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah. Usoda. Usoda. That's a lie. Is what it says. Again, just some of these ritual altars, all the visuals. Willboy says, I blame Homecoming for people assuming a Silent Hill game having combat with some depth is a bad thing. Well, I mean, Homecoming's not the best example for that, is there? Because you say having combat with some depth, and I mean, Homecoming tried to, because you've got dodging and counter attacks where you can block and then immediately do an attack afterwards, and different combos with light and heavy attacks that changes depending on what weapon you have. The problem with Homecoming is it boils down to you take out your knife and you do light, 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 heavy, and you win the game. Because none of the rest of the depth matters when you have one weapon with one combo that stun locks everything and just works the entire game. That they tried to have depth, but unfortunately, like, it wasn't balanced correctly. So you might be right with the association thing, where people just associate like combat that is anything more than hold down ready weapon button, press attack button when enemy gets close. Like anything more in depth than that is a bad thing, thanks to Origins, Homecoming, Downpour. But yeah. Again, I don't have a problem with combat. Again, that's not what I care about when it comes to Silent Hill. As long as the combat serves its purpose, it doesn't become overbearing or annoying or frustrating that takes away from other aspects of the game, then I'll be fine with it. And then she busts out the naginata. the traditional Japanese blade spear weapon. I like the variety. I like the little bit of weapon variety that we see, and some of that was also leaked early with the game rating. So there were descriptions for the weapons when it came time for the game to be rated, and a lot of that information was leaked months and months ago. So there wasn't any mention of firearms. It mentioned like blunt objects and knives and swords and spears, but we didn't get any mention of like guns, which again, 60s Japan, firearms, even today, like firearms are not something super common the way that they are in other parts of the world, especially in like the United States. It's a little bit more believable when you have a game series set in the United States that you would just go around finding guns in random places, as opposed to 1960s Japan being a schoolgirl. It's way less likely you're just going to stumble across a gun. But we'll see. Same hair as the girl earlier, Sakuko. So, like, we're seeing people in Hanako's life being depicted as these bosses or these creatures as you're progressing. Again, little character elements, story elements that I'm trying to pick up on for when the game comes out. With that hole right through. And you see all the, like, gory inside, all the little muscles and strands, which are, again, very similar to the red thread and Higambana that we've been seeing. And she's got one of those big, like, Oni clubs. The big, like, spiked Oni club. Tetsubo? But, or Kanabo. Phoenix of the Light says, looks like a keyhole. It is a very distinct, like, hourglass looking shape. Trying to see it a little bit better from this view. I love the like light streak halo thing coming out from behind her head. Something that you would see in a lot of like artistic classic artwork to depict spirits or angels or people who have passed on. The eyes are like all fucked up. The mouth is all busted open with those sort of vine or root like tendrils coming out. It's her spidey senses. It is kind of a little bit of a Spider-Man spidey sense. So yeah, Silent Hill F. I like what I'm seeing so far. Also, for everybody looking at the consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, it's going to be on Steam. We're going to get mods. It's going to be on Windows, Epic Store, being developed, of course, by Neobards, and it's Unreal Engine. So again, we'll have that Steam and Unreal Engine. We're going to get that cam hack like day one. Let's show some other stuff that we've got here. So there's your breakdown of what you get for each of the different ways to purchase. Standard edition, nothing but the full game. Standard edition, physical or download early purchase or pre-order gets you the full game, the white Sailor School uniform, an in-game item, Omamori Peony, and an item pack. The deluxe edition gets you the full game, the digital art book, the digital soundtrack, and the pink rabbit costume. Wonder who the pink rabbit could be? Oh, I'll show you. I'll show you. In just a moment. We've got more pictures after this. Deluxe edition, pre-order download, full game, digital artwork, digital soundtrack, pink rabbit costume, white Sailor School uniform, the Omamori Peony, the item pack, and your 48-hour early access, which means that's what I'm getting right there, the deluxe edition pre-order. And then you can also upgrade your standard edition to deluxe in order to get the digital art book, the soundtrack, and the pink rabbit costume. So that is this. If you get the deluxe edition, you get the full game, the digital art book, the digital soundtrack, and the pink rabbit costume. As a fan of Dead by Daylight since the very beginning, we finally get Bunny Fong. We get the proper Bunny Fong outfit. It's cute. It's adorable. I'm probably gonna do like, I don't know, 10 playthroughs before I ever wear it for a follow-up playthrough, but was expecting it to come with the mask. Nope, we just get the little bunny ears on the headband. It's adorable. Here is the standard edition with the early purchase or pre-order bonuses. So there's the white Sailor School uniform variation, along with the Omamori item and your item pack. No idea what your items are going to be. It's just going to be like in-game supplies, I assume. Your heals and whatever they wind up doing. We'll find out. I wonder if it's going to be like a limited save system and you need items to like save your game, similar to Resident Evil. But yeah, little white variation on the school uniform. And then there is the full deluxe edition pre-order If you want to get all of the stuff, this is what I'll be getting. So, digital art book. I'm looking forward to that digital art book because, again, even though it's not Masahiro Ito, I like a lot of the design of it, which clearly there was some collaboration or sharing of ideas or taking inspiration from each other, because Ito designed the Sakura Blossom enemy for Silent Hill: The Short Message, which sort of started bringing this flower and plant horror aspect into the Silent Hill theme. And it looks like they kind of ran with that with the Higambana. I don't know if that was just coincidence or what, because again, Ito's not involved with this one. So either way, definitely want to get that art book. You get the digital soundtrack. Again, I'm loving the sound design and the little snippets of music that we've already got. Akira Yamaoka is going to be the composer for some of the music. The Fog World music is supposed to be composed by Akira Yamaoka. So we're still getting Yamaoka doing like half the soundtrack. The other half of the soundtrack, the Otherworld soundtrack, is being done by Kensuke Inage. And I'm really curious how that's going to shape up, because Kensuke Inage has a very, very colorful music career. He makes all sorts of music. I mean, to be fair, so does Yamaoka. Yamaoka makes a lot of like techno and dance music for Bemani, Konami's rhythm game division. So like Dance Dance Revolution and Guitar Freaks and stuff like that. Beatmania, Poppin' Music. Yamaoka's made a lot of weird stuff outside of just the Silent Hill stuff that he's most known for. Kensuke Inage, many of you who are fans of the Yakuza series would probably best know Kensuke Inage as the composer for the song Friday Night. Yeah. It's also just kind of a meme. Like, I don't play the Yakuza games, but I know that song because of memes. That song was done by the guy who's going to be composing music for Silent Hill F. So I'm really curious to see what he does. But so far, the little snippets of music and audio and everything that we've heard from trailers seems good. Of course, you get your pink rabbit costume, your white sailor school outfit. So variation of the costumes, your in-game items, and of course the 48-hour early access so that I can stream this for you all September 23rd instead of September 25th. So much about this game feels like a Fatal Frame game, but like in a good way. I mean, it's inevitably going to draw those comparisons just for being sort of traditional Japanese setting, right? It's Japan in the 60s. So it feels very in line with stuff like Fatal Frame or Kuon. It feels a little bit closer time period wise to something like Kuon or Siren, which was made by Keiichiro Toyama, who directed Silent Hill 1. So there was already kind of some connecting fibers there between Silent Hill and Siren. But again, it's that traditional Japanese setting, old style traditional Japanese architecture and villages, and clothing and temples and deities, your statues of gods and goddesses and mythical beings. A lot of that just stems from the same real world historical Japan. If all you do is play video games and you're trying to find other video games to compare it to visually, those are going to be the main things that people point out. It's very Fatal Frame or Kuon or Siren. But yeah. It's just sort of traditional Japanese horror. It's not necessarily copying or trying to be those things. It is just taking influence from the same history and visual sort of atmosphere and aesthetic. So you're going to see comparisons like that all the time. But looks interesting. I can't wait to play it again. I'm most curious about the story. We've only got little bits and pieces, little kind of glimpses at it. Mainline title since 2012. Can't wait. It looks good. So I wouldn't put that much stock into that kind of labeling. People are desperate to try to say if it's mainline, if it's not, if it's connected to the original series at all, if it's not. We won't really know any of that until we play the game itself and just see what it does, what it presents for its story and for its characters. I would say the best thing you can do as a fan is try and avoid labeling it until you play it yourself. Because marketing, the way that the producers like Okamoto talk about it, that's going to be its own separate thing. It's much easier to sell copies of this game to old fans like me if you say it's a mainline title, or if you say that it's connected to the old series, the way they were kind of doing in the transmission. They were like, oh, it's still that same Otherworld. It's the same concept of, you know, your nightmares and your internal struggles sort of manifested into reality around you. They're trying to sell a game. The transmissions are all marketing material. So don't put all of your stock into those things. Just try and understand it from kind of a more logical point of view. The things that they're going to say to try to sell a game and what the game actually is could potentially be very different things. At the end of the day, we're waiting for the game to come out. We've got 112 days to wait. And then when it comes out, we'll play it. And we'll judge it fairly on its merits. If it's not taking place in Silent Hill, then call it something else. I'm pissed. Were you also pissed that Silent Hill 3, the whole first half of the game, doesn't take place in Silent Hill? Or Silent Hill 4 not taking place in Silent Hill? It's in South Ashfield Heights? Like, I think that's a very narrow-minded take. Like, it can still be connected to the series, and I'm hoping that it is connected to other aspects of pre-established lore in some way. But just saying that it's in Japan, it's not Silent Hill, I immediately hate it. Come on. Like, you don't, I mean, it's your money, it's your opinion. You don't have to buy anything you don't like, and you don't have to like anything that I like. But to me, that is a very narrow-minded viewpoint to have.